Hello everyone. Welcome to Skills Build Training YouTube channel. My name is Sanya and this channel is all about showing you how to become an IT pro fast. So, in today's video we will discuss about how to use GIMP for beginners. So let's get started. GIMP is a multi-platform photo manipulation tool. GIMP is an acronym for GNU Image Manipulation Program. The GIMP is suitable for a variety of image manipulation tasks, including photo retouching, image composition, and image construction. So first I will show you how you can download and install GIMP. So for that, go to your favorite browser and then type here GIMP download. Now here you can see the official link www.gimp.org. You need to click on this link. Once you will click on this link, you will be able to see this page. And here you can see GIMP for Windows. You can either download it via BitTorrent or you can download it directly. Well, I would suggest you to download it directly. You need to click on this link. Once you will click on this link, you will get an option to download and then you will click on download. So that is how you can download the ISO file. Once you will download the ISO file, it is too easy to install it. All you have to do is simply go along with the instruction to install it. Once you will install GIMP, you need to search here for GIMP and then click on it. Now once you will open it, you will see such type of screen. Well, GIMP is an expandable and extensible. It is designed to be augmented with plugins and extensions to do just about anything. And its advanced scripting interface allows everything from the simplest task to the most complex image manipulation procedures to be easily scripted. Well, one of the most important strengths is that it is free, available from many sources for many operating systems. And most GNU Linux distributions include the GIMP as a standard application. The GIMP is also available for other operating systems such as Microsoft Windows or Apple's Mac OS. Now here you can see three main windows, one that is present on the left side and the main window, and one that is present on the right side. And here you can see this ribbon where you have different options. Now, you can see the interface. If you are not okay with that interface and if you want to customize it, that is too easy to do. All you need to do is go to Edit, and from here, you can see the option Preferences. Choose this option. Once you will choose this option, you have different options here on the left side. You can see the details about the system resources. You can see the color management. You can see how you can import and export images. You can set the tool options, you can set the default image, you can change and set the default grid, you can change the interface, you can change the theme, you can also change the theme icon and toolbox. Here you can see the option display, and here you have different options related to appearance, title and status, and snapping. Now go to theme. From here you can have different themes. If you like to work with dark theme, here you have the option to work with dark theme. Here you have the option to work with gray theme, and here you have the option that is light theme. Well, I would like to work with the light theme, so I'm gonna choose this option and now go to icon theme. From here you can change the icon theme. Usually people who are already using GIMP, they prefer legacy, but I would prefer color for myself. Well, you can change it according to your taste. Well, you can also explore some other themes as well. Now, if I choose the legacy, here you can see it is giving me the interface that I have used in the previous version. You can also use the Symbolic and Symbolic High Contrast. Well, all these are for pro editors who can work with the Symbolic High Contrast as well. Well, I would suggest you, if you are a beginner, go with color. And then here you can see toolbox. Now here you have different options. You can either add few things in your toolbox or you can remove few things from your toolbox. You can also change the menu mode. Now here you have different options. Well, I'm going to show active brushes, pattern and gradient. Also, I want to show active image. Now here you have different options. You can configure the tools, and when you are okay with it, all you need to do is simply click on OK. But before that, go to System Resources, and from here you will be able to see the resources consumption. You can change these values once. You will be able to get how you can change these values. When you will work on GIMP, you will be able to see how you can change things and how they will suit your work. For now, I'm perfectly okay with all these details, so click on OK now. Coming towards the next option that I can see here is Windows. Once you will click on it, you have different options. You can click on Dockable Dialogs. Once you will click on it, you can see here different options. You can have options about tools. You can see here some other things that I will show you, and I will explain you one by one that what are these and how you can use these. Now here you can see the option Single Window Mode. When you will click on it, you will be able to see GIMP in a single window mode. So just click on it, and now here you can see these are the basically three main windows that I have talked about: the left side, the main image, and the right side. Now explore them one by one. Well, this shows the most basic arrangement of GIMP windows that can be used effectively. This is the main toolbox. This is the heart of the GIMP. It contains the highest level menu, plus a set of icon buttons that can be used to select tools and more. Now here you can see the tool options. Docked below the main toolbox is a tool options dialog showing options for the currently selected tools. Now this is the image window. Each image open in GIMP is displayed in a separate window. Many images can be open at the same time. The limit is set only by the amount of the system resources. It is possible to run GIMP without having any images open, but there are not very many useful things to do then. You can insert any image here. Now coming towards this section, this is Brush, Patterns and Gradient section, and it shows the dialog for managing brushes, patterns and gradients. Here are some different options as well. Now coming towards the last section, that is Layers dialog. Then this dialog window shows the layer structure of the currently active image and allows it to be manipulated in a variety of ways. It is possible to do a very few basic things without using the layers dialog. But even moderately sophisticated GIMP users find it indispensable to have the layers dialog available at all the times. Now again click on Windows and click on Single Window Mode. While this is a minimal setup, there are over a dozen other types of dialogues used by GIMP for various purposes, but users typically create them when they are needed and close them when they are not. Knowledgeable users generally keep the toolbox with the tool options and layer dialog around at all the times. The toolbox is essential to many GIMP operations. In fact, if you close it, GIMP will exit. Now let's discuss all these sections briefly so you can get an idea how you can use them. Then I will show you through practical work that how you can use them easily. Now coming towards the first option, that is the main toolbox. The main toolbox is the heart of the GIMP. It is the only part of the application that you cannot duplicate or close. Let's talk about the toolbox menu. This menu is special. It contains some commands that cannot be found in the menus that are attached to the images. As you can see here, you can move tool, you can select rectangle tool, you can select this to hand-drawn region with free and polygonal segments. You can select fuzzy select tool, you can crop image, you can use this unified transform tool, you can use this sketch transform tool, you can use this bucket fill tool, you can use different sort of brushes, eraser, clone tool, smudge tool, paths tool, text tool, color picker tool, and zoom tool. Well, these icons are buttons which activate tools for a wide variety of purposes: selecting part of images, painting on them, transforming them, etc. Now coming towards the foreground and background colors. The color areas here show you GIMP's current foreground and background colors, which come into play in many operations. Clicking on either one of them brings up a color selector dialog that allows you to change to a different color. Clicking on the double-headed arrow swaps the two colors. and clicking on these small symbols in the lower left corner resets them to black and white. After that, you can simply select it. Here you can see the brushes, pattern and gradient. The samples here show you GIMP's current selections for the paintbrush used by all tools that allow you to paint on the image, for the pattern, which is used in filling selected areas of an image, and for the gradient, which comes into play whenever an operation requires a smoothly varying range of colors. Now here you can see the active image. Well, this is a new feature in GIMP. In GIMP, you can work with many images at once, but at any given moment, one of them is the active image. Here you find a small iconic representation of the active image. Now once I will open an image here and then I will show you about this image window. So in order to open any image here, all you need to do is simply press Ctrl O, or you can also go here and select on File. Now here you can see the option Open, and also you can see here the shortcut. So you can either press Ctrl O or you can either click on this option. Once you will click on this option, here you can see different options, the places from where you can get an image. And here the few images that I have already used while using GIMP. Well, go to desktop and from here select any image, and here you can see the image that you wanna select, so you can preview it. Now simply open it. Once you will open it, here you can see a dialog box in which you can see Convert to RGB working space. Well, right now I don't need to convert it, so simply keep it. And here you can see the image. Now let's discuss about this image window. Now here you can see different sections. Let's talk about the first section here. In GIMP, each image that you have open is displayed in its own separate window. I will begin with a brief description of the components that are present by default in an ordinary image window. Some of these in fact can be made to disappear using commands in the View menu, but you will probably find that you don't want to do that. So first talk about this title bar. At the top of the image window, you will probably see an emphasis bar showing the name of the image and some basic information about it. The emphasis bar is actually provided by the windowing system, not by GIMP itself. So its appearance may vary with different operating systems, Windows managers, and themes. In the Preferences dialog, you can customize the information that appears here if you want to. Let's talk about the second part here, that is Image menu. Directly below the emphasis bar appears the Image menu. This menu gives you access to nearly every operation you can perform on an image. There are some global actions that can only be accessed via the Toolbox menu. You can also get the Image menu by right-clicking inside the image. Now here you can see the Menu button. Clicking on this little button gives you the Image menu, except in a column instead of a row. Here you can have different options related to this image. If you are a beginner, you can use these options in order to work smoothly. Now here you can see a ruler. In the default layout, rulers are shown above and to the left of the image, indicating coordinates within the image. You can control what type of coordinates are shown if you want to. By default, pixels are used, but you can change to other units as well using the unit setting. Now scrolling down here, you can see Toggle Quick Mask on off. You can also see the shortcut here. Basically, it is an alternate and often extremely useful way of viewing the selected area within the image. For more details, you can simply click on it. And here you can see. Now here this value that you can see, it is not visible right now, but now it is visible. It is pointer coordinates. In the lower left corner of the window is a rectangular area used to show the current pointer coordinates. That is the mouse location if you are using a mouse. Whenever the pointer is within the image boundaries, the units are the same as for the rulers. Now this is Units menu. The feature is new in GIMP. Well, it does not appear in GIMP 2.0 and the previous version. By default, the units used for the rulers and several other purposes are pixels. You can change to inches, centimeters, or several other possibilities using this menu. Now here you can see the zoom button. This feature is also new in GIMP. It was not available in the previous version. There are a number of ways to zoom the image in or out, but this menu is perhaps the simplest one. Now here you can see the status area. The status area appears below the image display. Most of the time by default it shows which part of the image is currently active and the amount of the system memory that the image is consuming. You can customize the information that appear here as well by changing your preferences. Here you can see the navigation control. This is a small cross-shaped button at the lower right corner of the image display. Clicking on it and holding the left mouse button down brings up a window showing a miniature view of the image, navigation preview. With the displayed area outlined, you can pan to a different part of the image by moving the mouse while keeping the button depressed. Now this is inactive padding area. This padding area separates the active image displayed and the inactive padding area, so you are able to distinguish between them. You cannot apply any filters or operations in general on the inactive area. Now this is the image display. The most important part of the image window is, of course, the image display or the canvas. It occupies the central area of the window, surrounded by a dotted line showing the image boundary. And here is the image window resize toggle. If this button is pressed, the image itself will be resized if the image window is resized. Now, here you have different options. Here you can see the option that configure this tab. Once you will click on it, here you have different options. You can either add different tabs here and you can close different tabs from here. You can detach tab and here you have some other options as well. Now here you can see an option that is tab style. Tab style is a sub-menu of a tab menu. This entry is available when multiple dialogues are in the same dock. It opens into a sub-menu, allowing you to choose how the tabs at the top will appear. Now here you can see the 5 choices, not all of which will be available for all types of dialogues. The first here is icon. This choice gives you an icon representing the dialogue type. Here you can see the current status. This choice is only available for dialogues that allow you to select something, such as a brush, a pattern, a gradient, etc. It gives you a tab showing a representation of the item currently selected. Then you can see the text option. This choice gives you a tab showing the dialogue type in text. And here you can see icon and text. This choice gives you wider tabs containing both an icon and the type of the dialogue and text. And here you can see the status and text. In order to starting work with GIMP, first import an image here in the canvas. So go into Files. And now here select the option Open. And from here you can select any image and then open it. Now coming towards the first tool, that is Move tool. This tool is used to move layers, selections and other objects. By selecting this tool, you can move the image. To keep it back into the canvas, you can go to Image and from here you can choose the option Fit Canvas to Layers. And if you want to increase or decrease the size of the canvas, then you can go to Image and from here you can see the option Canvas Size. You can set the height and width of the image or the canvas from here and you can then resize it. The next tool we are going to discuss about is Rectangle Select tool. This tool is used for the selection of a rectangle. So simply select this tool. Now, once you want to select a frame or an image within an image, you need to zoom in first. So in order to zoom it, you can use this zoom tool. Now select this rectangle select tool and select the image. By using these guiding rules, you can select a perfect selection and then you can copy paste it. But before that, you need to zoom out it. So for that, you can use Ctrl+Shift+J and now press Ctrl+C to copy it and Ctrl+V to paste it. Now to paste it in an alignment, you can use Control key and using Control key, you can move it around as well. Now again select this tool and here you can see Ellipse Select. Same like Rectangle Select tool, you can use Ellipse Select as well. Coming towards the next tool, that is Free Select tool, you can use this tool to select a hand-drawn region with free and polygonal segments. So select this tool. Now here you can see You just need to click at one corner and then you can select an image. At every single corner, you need to click on it. Once you are done with complete selection, you can copy it and you can paste it somewhere. You can paste it on some other background as well. Now in Free Select tool, you can have different options as well. You can use the scissor select for the same purpose as well as foreground select. Now coming towards the next tool, that is Fuzzy Select tool. Using this tool, you can select a contiguous region on the basis of color. So select this tool first and now select the color. Now you can change the color of the background. Click on this button and from here, add tabs and tool options. Once you will click on tool options, you can have different options here. You can increase and decrease the threshold. You can also see here few parameters and you can select by the color as well. Now go here and select the color, choose it and fill the color here. So for that, go to the bucket. So that is how you can actually use the Fuzzy Select tool and you can change the color. Now moving towards the next tool, that is Handle Transform tool. You can use this tool to deform the layer, selection or path with handles. So we have different kind of handles. I will show you how you can use them one by one. So coming towards the first tool, that is Unified Transform. Click on it. Now, here you can see you have different options and you can have transform matrix as well. You can readjust it from here or you can simply click on any option that is present here and you can move it around. You can resize it by moving it from the center. You can flip it around by moving from the corner. Now the second option is rotate. You can use this handle to rotate the image. Here you can see. So you can rotate this image. Go to the scale handle and you can adjust the size of the image. You can use shear to flip it around. To simply flip it, you can use the flip handle as well. You can see and adjust its perspective. You can also apply a 3D transformation to the layer selection or path. So you can be able to see it from every angle. As well as you can use the handle transform. By placing or keeping an anchor somewhere, you can rotate it. Now moving towards the next tool, that is Sketch Transform tool. You can use this tool to deform the image. You can use Warp Transform to deform with different tools. You can increase and decrease its hardness and size. So let me decrease its size a bit as well as its hardness. And now warp it and here you can see. Now coming towards the next tool, that is Bucket Fill tool. I'm going to show you how you can use it. So for that, first I'll create a layer. So click on layers and from here click on new layer. You can see here different information about the layer. You can adjust the height, width and opacity of the layer as well as you can choose its color. So fill with white and then press OK. Now I will show you how you can use the bucket tool. So select on bucket and here you can have different options. You can see the fill type. You can select the affected area as well as you can adjust the threshold. So first adjust the threshold and now here go to active foreground color and change the color. And then select it and now you can simply use this color. Now coming towards the next thing that you can see here is gradient. Select gradient and you can also adjust the colors for gradient as well as you can have different gradients here. Let me use a built-in gradient. I'm going to use Flare Size Pack 101 and then draw a line here. You can adjust the end point of the gradient as well as you can change the color from here as you can see and then press OK. Moving towards the next tool, that is Paintbrush tool. You can paint smooth strokes using a brush as well as you have different options. You can use pencil, airbrush, ink and my paintbrush. So first select the paintbrush and now from here choose the brushes. You can have different options here. So I'm going to use this stroke first. So select it and then draw it here. You can have different options. You can choose them according to their width. So select this one and draw over here. Along with that, you can use the pencil. You can change its size, its aspect ratio, angle, spading, and hardness. So let me change the hardness first, as well as the angle, aspect ratio as well, and let me increase the size. You can have few fade options as well. These are basically distance over which strokes fade out. So let me increase the size. And now you can use it. So basically by using paint brushes, you can play around with. Now moving towards the next tool, that is clone tool. So you can selectively copy from an image or pattern using a brush. So select this tool. Now you need to press Ctrl and then select on the image. Once you will do this, you will be able to paste it over here. As you can see, all you need to do is you can change the aspect ratio, spacing, and hardness to make it a perfect copy of the image. Now here you can see I'm able to make a duplicate of an image within an image. Now moving towards the next tool, that is smudge tool. You can use this smudge tool to smudge different shapes or colors. You can also blur and sharpen image as well. So select this tool and now simply click on the image and smudge it. Now change its hardness so you will be able to see how you can smudge it. Now moving towards the next tool, that is a text tool. You can create or edit text layers. So click on it. Once you will click on it, here you can see you have different options. You can use editor, you can change its color, and you can justify the text as well. The first thing that I can see here is the font. You can change the font if you want to, but I'm perfectly okay with it. You can change the size. I'm going to change the size and I'm going to make it 150. And now here I'm going to write Skills Build Training YouTube channel. You can select this selection and you can increase and decrease the size from here. You can also change its font. You can make it bold. You can make it italic. You can underline it, as well as you can use strike through. The next tool that you can see here is the zoom tool. You can adjust the zoom level and you can zoom in and out the image using this tool. Or you can simply press Ctrl-Shift-J to zoom out the image. Now let's talk about the foreground and background colors. You can also see the active foreground color. So first go to layers and from here select new layer. Once you will select it, come to the fill with option. Here you can have different options, foreground color and background color. First I'll change the foreground color. So click on foreground color and then click on OK. And here you can see the foreground color is this, as I have already selected it. Now move towards the background color and change the background color. Select it, OK, and again go to layers. From here go to new layer and then fill with and background color and then click on OK. So that is how you can change the foreground and background colors. That's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any queries, reach out to us in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. I'll see you in the next video.